Hello, students. This is Professor McDermott, introducing you to Module 5. First, I want to say congratulations. I think you're doing a good job of keeping up with the fast pace of the course. I appreciated getting your article assignments, and I'll be grading those over the next few days. What we have to look forward to in Module 5 will be dealing with the progressive era, period in which many advances were made for the causes of working people, women, for the cause of safe food and safe medicine and so forth, that is consumer protection. But also a period in which African Americans suffered the imposition of segregation, the loss of their voting rights for black males, and strangely enough, these Jim Crow laws that discriminated against African Americans were also part and parcel of the progressive movement. And so we'll see that the progressive movement had a side that we would call negative, as well as many positives. Just want to recap a little bit the discussions for Module 3, which I just posted grades for, on the topic of imperialism. And this is very much a living issue. And there are many, many issues that could be discussed that are very relevant today from these documents. For example, should the United States intervene in foreign countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, or should we simply mind our own business? And go back to what the foreign policy of the U.S. used to be, which was isolationism, where we mostly, up until the time of the Spanish-American War, simply minded our own business and stayed out of the affairs of other countries. And there are many good arguments on both sides that are still matters of life and death for many American citizens who may be called upon to go to war in foreign countries. The first document was from Josiah Strong, who was a strong believer in imperialism because, as Group 1 you brought out quite well, he believed that it was the destiny of the white Anglo-Saxon race to take over the world. Again, you see that social Darwinist idea that white Anglo-Saxons are the master race, and it's their destiny and their duty to subjugate all the other peoples of the world. And that, in his opinion, America, with all of its resources, is a great place from which the Anglo-Saxon race can launch this drive for world domination. Group 2, you had the last speech of President McKinley just before his assassination in 1901. McKinley was not really a great believer in imperialism, but he did believe in business and commerce and trade. And for that reason, he accepted that isolationism was no longer a viable option for the U.S. And you brought out some of the points that he made, how basically through exchange between scientists and business people and inventors of different nations, that all nations would benefit from international commerce. One other point that he makes is that the world is getting smaller. With the advances in transportation, technology, things like the telegraph, the telephone, railroads, and so forth, that really the globe is shrinking, and there's no way the United States could hide in its old isolationist bubble, even if we wanted to. So even though McKinley wasn't that enthusiastic about imperialism, his arguments tend to support the idea that the United States has to move beyond isolationism and be more engaged with the world. Finally, Group 3, you had the platform of the Anti-Imperialist League, which included many famous Americans like Jane Addams, Mark Twain, Grover Cleveland. Their basic argument against imperialism was that it was un-American, that it was a violation of all of our American traditions to take over colonies and to make the people that live there into second-class citizens who didn't have all the rights of full American citizens. So you get different perspectives on that issue of imperialism. I do have to say, I wish we had explored some of those issues a little more deeply in those question twos, the discussion only questions, because, like I said, they really are crucial issues that are very relevant to our lives today. Now, I know that some of these documents are difficult to read. That's why I put the dictionary link at the top. If you haven't used that yet, I'd encourage you to start using it when an unfamiliar word pops up. Just a note on Module 2 discussions. Group 3, you very honestly admitted that you had a hard time with the document by Andrew Carnegie, and yet, working together, you were able to come up with some very good answers to the questions about Carnegie, proving once again that 4 heads are better than 1. So I'd encourage you to take that approach with these documents. Work together to help each other make sense of them. Don't be afraid to admit if you don't understand something in the document. Rather, bring it into the discussion. I didn't understand what this author meant by this certain point. Can anyone help? Don't be embarrassed to do that. These documents are difficult. They're difficult sometimes even for professional historians to read because they're written in old-fashioned, unfamiliar language. But really, part of the point of doing the course this way and having these discussions is so that you can help each other and make things easier for each other so that you really, really get something out of these documents. And also, don't be afraid to disagree. As I said last time, I know you're all nice people. Sometimes we're all polite people, and we think that if we disagree with someone else, that makes us rude or overbearing or something like that. But in fact, we're here to learn, and we're all friends, and we shouldn't be reluctant to challenge each other when necessary to really go deep into some of these questions. So I'd encourage you just to mix it up a little bit more in these discussions. And I know this was a very hectic weekend, and I understand that. But now, as we move onward with the course, just keep that in mind, and let's make these discussions a more meaningful experience for all of us and a real learning experience for everybody. Well, once again, I want to thank you for all your hard work. Also, want to repeat that you can also turn to me for help if there's something you don't understand in a document. You can email me, or you can call, or even Skype me during my office hours, and I'm happy to help you work with these documents as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of the weekend. Good luck, those of you who haven't taken the exam yet, and I'll be back in touch very soon.